My name is Waffles, and I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator, and this is the last 24 hours in the news. Today is August 11th, 2025. It is 4:49 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Here are the top U.S. news highlights for the past 24 hours. There was a fatal shooting near CDC Atlanta. A gunman opened fire outside CDC buildings in Atlanta, killing DeKalb County Officer David Rose and the suspect. Multiple weapons were used, and the attack spanned CDC buildings and nearby CVS. And no CDC employees or civilians were harmed. Security protocols remain elevated. I just need to double check on that one. Senate confirms anti-DEI commissioner. The Senate confirmed Andrea Lucas to a second term, leading the workplace civil rights agency. Her tenure is marked by rollbacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, DEI initiatives, and prioritizing certain religious rights over protections for transgender individuals. COVID-19 cases rising. Stratus variant surges. CDC wastewater monitoring shows COVID-19 levels across the western U.S., notably California, Colorado, and Nevada. A new variant, XFG, or Stratus, is now the third most prevalent strain nationwide. Despite lower hospitalizations, experts remain wary of late summer transmission. Health Commission report delayed. The Trump era Make America Healthy Again MAHA Commission is expected to miss its August 12th deadline for delivering recommendations on addressing chronic disease. HHS has not commented publicly on the delay. Federal crackdown in D.C. nets weapons and drugs. As part of a White House law enforcement initiative, federal agencies arrested 8 individuals in Washington, D.C., seizing stolen firearms, narcotics, and cash. This follows aggressive executive orders aimed at reducing crime and bolstering safety in the Capitol. Now, on this, I've seen a few people talking about what's going on. People are very concerned about the crackdown in D.C. I saw one commentator talking about, it was Hawk, he was talking about that the demographic in DC is primarily African American, like half of the population there. So he's concerned that this is racially motivated with the crackdown taking place in DC. And then Trump is apparently announcing homeless sweeps in DC as well to clean the streets of the homeless. So that's another thing I find concerning, considering that there's been legislation recently passed stating that they are going to institutionalize people who are homeless. So there's a need for concern in regards to public safety in that area, in my opinion. No major consumer safety recalls. I'm going to be doing a separate segment on that anyways, because today's technically, I mean, it's Monday now, but Sunday is normally around when I would do that. I'm not on a solid schedule right now. I'm still trying to figure everything out. I'm juggling a lot between like trying to get my business functional and also dealing with lawsuits and doing all this content creation stuff. So we will be doing a separate segment in regards to consumer safety. There's going to be a Trump-Putin summit coming up. There is a summit that has been confirmed. A summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin is scheduled for August 15th in Alaska. It will be the first U.S.-hosted summit since 1988. CBS News confirms that the summit is slated for next week, with August 15th reported as the likely date. On August 8th, Russian President Vladimir Putin informed Belarusian President Lukashenko that a U.S.-Russia summit was agreed upon following his meeting with the U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff. A Time report noted the Kremlin aides confirming the summit could happen as early as next week. European leaders from France to Poland have issued statements insisting that Ukraine must be part of any peace negotiations, denouncing any plan that sidelines Kiev. Ukrainian President Zelensky and European allies continue to oppose any territorial concessions as a part of a peace deal. India welcomed the upcoming summit, viewing it as a potential diplomatic pathway to peace. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton criticized the summit, suggesting it risks legitimizing a rogue leader by overlooking Putin's ICC, that's the International Criminal Court, arrest warrant. U.S. trade and economic highlights. India now faces a 50% U.S. tariff. A recent executive action raised duties on Indian imports to 50%, up from previously imposed 25%. Somebody earlier, I noticed, also was stating that the tariffs, well, not the tariffs, but that a large amount of pharmaceuticals that come into the United States are provided by India. I'm going to check on that real quick. India supplies approximately 40% of the generic drugs used in the U.S. India's share of U.S. pharmaceutical imports has been increasing, rising from 6% in 2015 to 11% in 2023. In 2024, the value of U.S. pharmaceutical imports from India reached $12.7 billion. Donald Trump has made statements threatening to impose tariffs on imported pharmaceuticals, including those from India, tariffs as high as 250%. Donald Trump is also trying to get India to accept some ridiculous tariff on their oil. Stand by. So Trump's proposed tariff on oil that India is getting from Russia is a 25% additional tariff on India goods when combined with an existing 25% tariff results is a total tariff of 50% on Indian imports to the United States. This move is a response to India's continued purchase of Russian oil, which Trump sees as indirectly supporting Russia's economy. The United States is also spending billions on wheat from Russia. It is not equal to the amount of oil, but I mean, we're really looking at people's ability to fuel, like, keep their houses warm and stuff, and to just suddenly slam down those tariffs, along with pharmaceuticals. You know, the issue with pharmaceuticals. Threats of tariffs have been made, but there are no indications of India threatening to unilaterally shut off pharmaceutical supplies to the U.S. Instead, Indian pharmaceutical companies are exploring strategies like expanding manufacturing within the U.S. or potentially exploring alternative markets to mitigate the impact of potential U.S. tariffs. They don't have to help us. They don't have to supply pharmaceuticals to America. So if they choose to do that, then they're being nice, in my opinion. So yeah, India, 50% tariff, recent executive action on Indian imports, effective dates, the initial 25% went into effect immediately, the additional other 25% effect roughly 21 days after August 7th. Market impact, Indian equity benchmarks, including the Nifty 50 and BSE Sensex, opened the week flat amid lingering investor concerns. Gold prices plummet on tariff reversal signals. Gold dropped sharply 2.1% in early trading amid reports that the U.S. plans to clarify and likely reverse proposed tariffs on imported gold bars. This shift reduced demand for the precious metal, which had surged amid geopolitical tension. Inflation pressure persists. Core CPI rose 0.3% in July, exceeding June's 0.2%. uptick and highlighting persistent inflationary momentum. Higher tariffs on imports, especially in tech and healthcare sectors, are adding to these pressures. U.S.-China tariff truce deadline approaches. A tariff pause between the U.S. and China expires on August 12th, with both sides deciding whether to extend it. President Trump reiterated threats of renewed and heightened duties if no agreement is reached. The dollar faces reassessment amid policy uncertainty. The U.S. dollar is undergoing a soft reevaluation as trade policy uncertainty and inflation concerns challenge its status as the top international safe haven currency. Here is the hazardous weather outlook for the next 3 days. Northeast and mid-Atlantic, expect a warm, humid Monday with scattered thunderstorms possible. Alert, localized heavy rain today may cause flash flooding in some spots. Stay alert for NWS watches or warnings as necessary. Early next week, temperatures climb into the lower 90s with muggy conditions that may heighten heat-related risks. South and southeast, most areas will see warm, stable weather leading into the week. Metro Georgia is under a hazardous weather outlook with isolated thunderstorms expected this afternoon and evening. Localized heavy rainfall is possible, especially in north and central parts. Continued scattered rain chances are expected through the week, mostly afternoon activity with limited severe threat. Midwest and central U.S. Monday starts dry and mild with warmth building through midweek. A line of storms may push into the Midwest and Northeast, bringing heavy rain and risk of flash flooding, especially in urban areas like Milwaukee. Monitor updates for possible alerts if heavy rainfall intensifies. Southwestern Plains expect stable warming conditions with highs reaching the low 90s by midweek. No immediate threats are forecast, but ongoing heat may elevate heat stress risks, especially during midday highs. Northwest and northern plains, a calm start to the week with temperatures modestly rising. Headed into midweek, regions may see increasing chances of afternoon showers or storms though widespread hazards are not currently anticipated. Flash floods. Do not drive through flooded roadways. Avoid low-lying roads and turn around if waters rise suddenly. Seek shelter during sudden thunderstorms, especially in exposed or high-ground areas. Stay hydrated. Plan outdoor activity during cooler morning hours and check on the vulnerable during the midweek warmth. Stay informed. Monitor local news or reliable weather apps for updates, watches, and advisories. And here are the international news highlights from the past 24 hours. Ukraine-Russia diplomacy in focus. Lula and Putin discuss Ukraine peace initiative. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva met with Russian President Vladimir Putin to explore potential frameworks for peace in Ukraine. The dialogue reflects growing international attention on conflict resolution amid ongoing hostilities. Pakistan deports Afghan families and prisoners. Over the past day, Pakistan deported 300 Afghan families and transferred 350 prisoners to Afghanistan via the Torkham border. This mass movement highlights a worsening humanitarian situation and underscores cross-border tensions. The 6th Asian Yogasana Championship began in Fujairah, U.A.E., featuring 160 athletes from 16 countries organized under the Asian Yogasana Sports Federation. This event promotes unity and wellness through competitive yoga. Bitcoin breaks $121,000 barrier. Bitcoin surpassed the $121,000 threshold, gaining nearly 4% in the past 24 hours. This surge reflects renewed investor optimism and demand in the cryptocurrency space. Why these things matter? Discussion between Putin and Lula may influence broader international mediation efforts, signaling a shift towards multilateral peace approaches. Deportations at the Pakistan-Afghanistan border intensify concerns about forced migration, displacement, and regional stability. The Yogasana Championship in the UAE showcases the role of international sporting events in promoting cultural unity and cross-border collaboration. Bitcoin's sharp rise indicates volatility and investor interest in digital assets amid geopolitical and economic shifts. My name is Waffles. This is the last 24 hours in the news. It is 5:08 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on August 11th, 2025.
So the Olympics is great. And Johnny, for the others, you know, the World Cup, Johnny is the head of it. We had our top people, Wasserman. They all came in on the Olympics, and then I saw Johnny. And we got the World Cup, too. And, you know, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there. You know, I got both of them. I got the Olympics, and I got the World Cup. And I said, you know, it's too bad. One was in 2026, and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president. But then they rigged the election, and now we won, so I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup. So, Johnny, thank you for the World Cup, and everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time.
Hey guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment to my videos. And also, don't forget to check out my shop where you could get this awesome Real Patriots Punch Nazis t-shirt. America, fuck yeah! And if you go to the link tree in my bio on most platforms, it's got links to everything, all of my stuff. You can find my shop there. I'm on eBay. You can also get this cool Exterminate MAGA sticker, because MAGA's fucking cockroaches. And fuck MAGA. Abolish MAGA. Fuck you, MAGA.